Good evening. My name is Christopher Crusoe Lynch. I'm the Interim Director of Music here at Christ Church Cathedral in Indianapolis. And it's my delight to welcome you virtually to the organ loft here at Christ Church. This is the first of a series of concerts that we'll have throughout the fall. I'm so glad that you're with us, and I want to invite you to tune in every Friday between now and Christmas Day for concerts right here from Christ Church. My colleagues, Nader Nevias, will be playing, in addition to musicians from throughout Indianapolis and the country. During the month of October, it's my pleasure to welcome the Music in Bloom Festival here to Christ Church. We're co-sponsoring their event, and you'll see some of their pre-recorded material was made right here at Christ Church. So while this concert series looks different from any year in the past, we are being more creative than ever, and we are thrilled to have you joining us at home for this year's concert series. We're focusing on COVID creations, on being creative in this time. That's why tonight I've chosen to play works by J.S. Bach. Bach was arguably the most creative composer we've ever known. And the music that I'm going to play tonight is the apex of his, some of the apex of his literature for the organ. Klavierübung 3, simply keyboard works, is one of the few collections of music that Bach ever published. For his vast output, he only shepherded a few pieces through the process of actual publication. Most of the things that we have of his, especially for the organ, were written as pedagogical works for students, examples of improvisation. But in Klavierübung 3, his collection of organ works, he has really a definitive statement of this is what he thinks about the organ. This is what he thinks is possible. And he shows it that his mastery of every single style really eclipsing many of his colleagues at the time. The collection is organized like an ideal organ recital. He starts with a prelude, has a series of pieces based on chorales, or we would call them hymn tunes, and then finishes with a fugue. And Bach was in the practice of improvising such organ recitals. But he decided in his definitive work of organ collection that he would put down the idealized organ recital. So we have one of the grandest preludes he ever composed, and the second longest organ work that he ever wrote, followed by a series of chorale preludes and finishing with a fugue. Tonight we're going to hear selections from about the first half, including that grand prelude at the beginning. Now, because Bach is Bach, he couldn't stop at just a grand piece of organ music. He had to also make a grand statement about his faith. So within the Klavierübung 3 collection, we have what scholars call the German organ mass. So Bach set chorales that would have been familiar to any German Lutheran as parts of the mass. So after that grand prelude, we have Kyrie, Christe, Kyrie, very familiar to us Episcopalians as the beginning of the mass. Following that, we have settings of Allein Gott, all glory be to God on high, very familiar to us Episcopalians. After that, so I don't say them out of order, after Allein Gott, we get Die sind der Heiligen Segen Gebot. These are the 10 Commandments. We would call this the Decalogue in the Episcopal Church, but in the German tradition, they would sing the 10 Commandments, and you'll hear a very emphatic setting of the 10 Commandments. And then finally for tonight, we get Wir glauben all in einen Gott, or we all believe in one true God, the Creed. So in tonight's performance, you'll hear the prelude for sort of the idealized church service, and about halfway through to the Creed, the liturgical halftime of our Episcopal tradition, and similarly of the German Lutheran tradition. I'm so glad that you're here with us this evening, and I'll talk more about programs coming up after I play the recital. Welcome to the Organ Loft, and please leave comments throughout the program. We'd love to hear how you've been creative during this time. And lastly, I should mention that the chorales that I'm going to play are mostly written for the manuals. So how I was creative during our lockdown is that this was the music I was learning at home. I couldn't get to the organ. So I was learning these at the piano. And it's worth noting that J.S. Bach, anytime he wanted to get to the organ, to play for a church service or even to practice, it was quite the technical feat because he also had to hire someone to pump the bellows. So in having these pieces in his collection, he made this music available not only to people who could get into the organ at the church, but also to play at home. So while much of this collection is intended for grand organs like this Taylor and Booty, the works I'll be playing tonight are principally pieces designed to be played at home. So that's my offering for COVID creations. I'm so glad that you're here, and I hope you enjoy about the first half of Klavierübung 3. much for joining me for about the first half of the Manuel de Chorales from Clav 3, plus the St. Anne Prelude. Next week at 6:30, my colleague Nander Novias will play a solo guitar recital right here on Facebook or streamed on YouTube. And in the month of October, you can tune in for the Music in Bloom Festival, new music being composed specifically for the festival by some of the finest new music players around. You won't want to miss it. Stay tuned for more details about programs in November and beyond. I want to thank the Associate Director of Music here, Nander Novias, for turning my pages, and Lee Curtis, who's downstairs running the live stream. And I particularly want to thank the American Pianists Association for lending some of the technical gear required to do these live streams. We couldn't do it without them, and it's really our honor to partner with them. So that's the first installment of COVID creations. Even though a lot of things in life have changed, we're still being creative here at Christ Church Cathedral, as are musicians around the world. So keep tuning in, and we would love to see some of your creations during this time as well. Share them in the comments or reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for being with us, and good night.